everybody, and welcome to a very special event. That's right, it's Talking with Friendsgiving. I'm Josh Shernoff, and I am here with my friends to celebrate Thanksgiving, which of course happens tomorrow as you're watching this live. So let me introduce you to all of my friends who are so kind to join me here as we celebrate Friendsgiving. First is my brother, Mr. Fred Shernoff. Fred, welcome to my table.
Good to be here.
And next up, he is right below me, but only because he's looking up to me. Calvin Tan, how are you, my friend?
I am doing well. How are you?
Oh, I am fan-frickin-tastic because this last person showed up. That's our good friend, Matt Mangol, the pumpkin pie, if you will, of Talking with Friendsgiving. Matt Mangol, welcome.
It's great to be here, and pass the biscuits.
Now, most people are right about now going, what am I watching? Well, great question. I don't think any of us have any idea. Normally, Talking with Friends is a show where we talk all about our experiences in the past in the professional wrestling business. Today's going to be a little bit different. Today, well, it's Talking with Friendsgiving. So we're going to talk all about Thanksgiving and professional wrestling and some of our best and worst memories of Thanksgiving wrestling and how that all goes together. Now, everybody knows the history, gentlemen, of professional wrestling and Thanksgiving. Of course, the NWA had many a special event on Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving Eve. But I think all of us, we were WWF guys growing up, correct?
Pretty much.
And
so,
ECW.
What's that?
And ECW.
Yeah, but ECW came a lot later. I'm talking like this great poster that we have here, which pays homage to the 1993 Survivor Series. So I'm going back to that. And that, to me, the Thanksgiving Eve tradition, it's Survivor Series. Well, now the new Thanksgiving Eve tradition is Talking with Friendsgiving, and I promise you it will be at least as good as this year's Survivor Series, which, of course, we've already seen because we're live. So, anyway, let's start with you, Fred. What's the best memory you have of professional wrestling and Thanksgiving?
Well, I actually got into wrestling watching Saturday morning shows in the lead up to a Survivor Series, but I didn't watch the Survivor Series that year. I don't think our family was getting pay-per-views back then.
Do you know what year that was?
Hacksaw Jim Duggan had a team where they all carried 2x4s.
Ah, and Bret Hart dropped it. He threw it up in the air and he didn't catch it.
So I saw a promo of that team, and that was the earliest wrestling memory I have, but I did not watch Survivor Series that year. I saw them all eventually through VHS, but to me, probably the
Survivor Series 89.
89. So that's the second one? Maybe?
Great question. But to me, Survivor Series 89 is the most classic one. It's probably one of the VHSs that I feel like we rented the most. It's it's this one here.
Oh, glare.
Yeah, which you should be able to see.
Very shiny.
Yeah, very shiny there.
Shiny.
Is that the one with a team of like Demolition and Hulk Hogan and Jake the Snake Roberts?
Absolutely. So we've got obviously the year. So Survivor Series, I think, started in 87.
87, okay.
Because that was the one with Hogan, Paul Orndorff. Orndorff? That's weird. I guess I actually kind of said that correctly, though.
Orndorff was in Lord of the Rings.
Orndorff.
Yeah, it's more of an or, not so much of an R.
Orndorff. Paul Orndorff. And
turned into a South Park character, apparently.
Orndorff. Paul Orndorff. But no, so Ken Patera and Don Morocco and Bam Bam Bigelow were on that team.
That was before my time.
So I look at, and then you've got 89, which of course that's when you had the Twin Towers against the Mega Powers. What? Well,
he forgot about
Zeus. He wasn't too involved in Survivor Series, I don't think. Was he?
Hold on. Let's go back to Survivor Series. Let's go.
He didn't see himself much, you know.
Let's Wikipedia this. So this is kind of what you guys are going to have here. We have no idea what the hell we're talking about.
I didn't even get to my favorite memory yet.
87. 87 was the first one. So 87, there was no Zeus.
No, because Zeus came in.
You're thinking SummerSlam. You're thinking the poster in SummerSlam with
Zeus.
No,
Zeus was a Christmas movie that then
Survivor Series 1989.
Was Zeus really in? He was
How
in
could
Survivor
Zeus
Series.
have been in that one?
Powers of Pain and the $1 Million Man.
It was No Holds Barred that year.
No, I guess No Holds Barred was the previous year.
Hold on,
because Zeus came in after the movie.
Well, I know it wasn't. I know it was.
What are we paying our staff for?
Yeah, come on. It's the same people who were doing Jeff Jarrett's podcast the other week.
Don't you mean Z Gangsta?
I do.
So okay, I'm not. Does anybody else want to Google other than me? Because I'm not seeing anything about Zeus in 1989.
I did already, Josh. That's why I'm hydrating. Okay.
Oh my God.
Could I throw out
what a horrible thing to think about.
I got very sidetracked from my favorite.
All right, so talk to us all about it, Fred. What was your favorite?
Nerf.
Well, so the first one I really remember was Survivor Series 1990, and that was mainly memorable because I believe that was the year of the gobbledygooker.
Okay, so Survivor Series 1989. Yes, and we're going to talk about the gobbledygooker in just a minute. But yes, that is when Tiny Lister Jr., who portrayed Rip's arch rival Zeus in the movie No Holds Barred, he turned up. So okay, but I'm not seeing this on the poster. Was he a?
Well, he wasn't seeing it either, Josh. He saw half the poster.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow, ain't nothing wrong with that man's eye.
Defeated the $1 Million team of Ted DiBiase,
don't get all.
Powers of Pain, and Zeus.
Don't go HR in me.
Wait a minute. Man. So Ted DiBiase, the Powers of Pain, and Zeus, but the poster. Oh, I see what happened. The poster throws it all asunder and shows you the captains of all the different teams. That's why I'm not seeing it. Okay. Yes, you are correct. Here they are. Here they are. All right, so.
I remember because you scared me as a kid.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was terrifying.
Well, because you thought it was a shoot. But we thought it was all a shoot, so. So, Fred, what were you saying, your fondest memory?
Yeah, well, I mean, like my earliest really good memory was the 90 Survivor Series, yeah.
Interesting. As far as Survivor Series go.
Yes, and I actually don't think we watched that one either when it first aired. That we got the tape a couple days later.
So I remember the first pay-per-view that we ever saw relatively close to live. We watched on a Tuesday because it actually aired on a Monday. I believe it was SummerSlam 1990.
Yes.
And our shout out to our older brother Jeff, who recorded it for us, brought it to work. He worked with our dad, brought it to work.
He would get the pay-per-views and send the tapes our way a few days later. So that's how we started getting pay-per-view. And so I think that was the case for Survivor Series. And we learned about The Undertaker through the what did they call that? When Mean Gene would run that little behind the scenes.
Event, was that Event Center or was that
It might be.
I don't know. Mangol, you know this stuff.
Dude, I was going to get into it when I get into my stuff, but
all right.
I would watch wrestling kind of at my grandparents' house. I'd be flipping through the channels. I'd find it on USA. I'd find it different times. I didn't watch it like strategically or know when it was on. I would just find it. I'd watch Superstars on the weekend and watch the build-ups from that, which back then was big. That's what Fred was talking about. But yeah, so as far as like the Event Center stuff, I mean, I know there was Ticketmaster.
No, we're not talking about Ticketmaster. We're talking about Event Center. We're talking about when they're rocking it looked like a green screen.
The monitors in the background.
The monitors in the background.
He's back in the little.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Sean Mooney, and welcome to Event Center.
My earliest memory of that stuff was was like a couple years after that.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Lord Alfred Hayes in a paid advertisement was brought to you by the
Love Lord
following.
Alfred Hayes.
And then the promos with the purplish, grayish, rockish backdrop.
Well, that's Royal Rumble that you're talking about right there.
Well,
Yes.
I know what you're talking about. Oh, you're talking about when the people you're talking
they
about
would
like
pop in during a match and start shooting on somebody, and then they'd pop out. They'd be in the same background.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah.
I mean, so I don't want to get too much into what went on at that.
The tag there, but
Someone had said in our planning they wanted to get into the Undertaker business, so I don't.
Someone called the Undertaker, when we talked about this.
Mine's the
I called it Undertaker, but
All
you already
Americans
took it,
versus
so let's
the.
talk about the Undertaker.
I mentioned the Undertaker, but Calvin, take it away.
Calvin Tan, take it away. So your favorite memory, Calvin Tan?
I would say the debut of the Undertaker.
Now, here's my question for you. What is that your favorite memory because of the impact it had in the moment, or is it your favorite memory because of the impact it had in years to come?
Well, he was I think it was in the moment for me because he was such a different character compared to all the other characters. He was the only character that would no sell, right? As a kid, you believe that it's real, right? Mm-hmm. So then you have this guy that's huge, that's no selling things, and you think that he's impervious to, any kind of pain. And even I think he debuted as a heel, but he was one of my favorites, even as a heel.
Everything that he did in that debut looked so, and I don't mean this in a negative way, it looked sloppy, but like real. Like the way he threw Coco Beware.
He's gone on record that he didn't know how to be that character at first in the ring, that he didn't know. It took him a long time to learn to slow down, that he wanted to do everything at a...
Right, but I think it was something that I loved about it was how, when I say sloppy, I mean like in the sense that like nowadays we're so used to everything is so fluid and so like, like a dance routine.
Yes.
But like back then it was like when I'm picturing when he threw Coco Beware into the ropes, like that didn't look like a spot. That didn't look like a spot. That looked like Coco Beware just legit got launched into these wrestling ropes that happened to be in his way, and his body just hit it wherever he was going to hit it.
You know what's funny is that people often talk about the Undertaker of like right guy, right place, right time, and this should have been just a joke gimmick, and no one else could have pulled it off, whatever. But I think more than that, when you talk about his debut, and I haven't heard anybody really touch on this, is the circumstances of his debut didn't make any sense. They were really stupid. And it wasn't all that different in some ways than the Shockmaster. It was just like, and I'm going to have my special partner, The Undertaker, who no one knows. It doesn't make it's this amazing moment that is a huge part of wrestling history. And like you said, maybe because of what came out of that, but it made no sense to introduce him that way.
No, it really didn't. That's a great point, because you look at it and you go, and maybe, and so this is where what we'll never be able to understand. And this is what I was kind of hoping this Friendsgiving was going to be, which is us just kind of just talking about these memories, and hopefully you're watching along with us, reliving these memories yourself. But what was weird is like, as kids, like we can't relate to we can't look back on that the way that we can look at wrestling now. So I wonder, were there people in their 20s and 30s and 40s sitting around going, that doesn't make any sense. What a stupid way to do it. How
it's Dave Meltzer.
Come on now.
Dave Meltzer. Listen, it's Friendsgiving. Yep. He got the invite. All right. He was supposed to bring the stuffing.
Well,
anyway.
The stuffing's in the writing, and Fred, to that point, he just bought his first ream of paper back then to put on the floor.
I was gonna say, and it was like Christmas morning as he slowly doled out pieces of paper all over his floor.
And he's called the Metropolis in his office there. So,
Calvin Tan.
Does anyone know what the other wrestlers thought about the Undertaker no selling at that time?
I believe he said that some people didn't like it.
Yeah, right now, we're going to roll the footage from the Broken Skull sessions.
I think he said, like at first there was some pushback, and once people saw where it was going, a lot of people just kind of realized it was good for business and went with it.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? Here we are in 2021, and I'd be remiss if I did not mention that this is the 30th anniversary of the first Survivor Series to have a non-classic Survivor Series style match, and that was, of course, the Gravest Challenge.
That's right.
Hulk Hogan versus The Undertaker. That was the night that The Undertaker damn near crippled Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is a walking miracle. The force of what I could only imagine was the air.
The compressed air.
The compressed air between, in that enormous space between the steel chair and Hulk Hogan's head was enough to really jam Hogan's neck up. One of the most ridiculous claims of all time that Hulk Hogan was injured in that match.
I have a theory on that, Josh.
Please.
My theory is, since the gentleman decided to take some IcoPro and probably was retaining a bit of water, when turned upside down and held and jarred, he had like an internal tidal wave going on that smacked him in the vertebrae. That is my expert synopsis.
God.
Wow.
I want to do before we move on with it. You said, I think Josh, you said with Undertaker about like do people, were adults looking at it differently and whatever. I think his debut. I mean, you can ask about a lot of things with the Undertaker, a lot of the storylines that he was involved in, the different angles over time. But I remember when he debuted, or I guess when we saw it in the event center or whatever, they said, we want to show you highlights of Kane the Undertaker's debut.
Are you sure it wasn't at Ticketmaster?
At the will call.
See a birdie flying by?
Freddie got fingered right there.
Oh, God.
Great movie.
Definitely not the first and not the last, huh?
Oh.
In our family, we did not really watch WCW at that time. Very, very, very rarely.
And I
remember we were in a hotel about a year or so before that. We were on a family vacation and flipping through the channels, and we would always stop if some kind of wrestling was on, and WCW was on, and that's how we became familiar with Mean Mark, who was cutting a promo. I would imagine probably with Paul Heyman, but I don't know. But he was cutting a promo, and he wrestled a match, and or whatever it was. So at this point, I am 9 years old at the time when Undertaker debuted. And he debuts, and it's the first time that I can remember, I'm fairly confident in this, the first time that I recognized a debuting WWF character as being a guy from somewhere else. And yet, I didn't care. Like, in the back of my mind, I thought, oh, that's Mean Mark. And then that washed away, and about 3 seconds later, he's the Undertaker now. So my point is, I guess, like that, when you're a kid and you're caught up in that, you just, even obvious facts don't really matter. You just kind of go with it.
Yeah, and there are plenty of adults we've seen where obvious facts don't matter either. Again, happy Thanksgiving, Dave Meltzer. But Survivor Series has been a non-Survivor Series themed show for, I'd say, decades longer than it was a Survivor Series theme show. Like, because I mean, look, still in the 90s and stuff, you were still having, in the mid 90s and all, there were still traditionally, like, if you look at Survivor Series 96, that was a handful of classic Survivor Series elimination matches. But in general, they kind of I would say by like 93, 94, they really were turning more into here's our main event for the title. Here's our Intercontinental title match. And we'll make sure that we still have some of those classic Survivor Series elimination things. Yet that's what we want. Now, full disclosure, we are recording this live. This show is live as live can be as we record it. However, or as the Fink would say, there's the opportunity for us to there is not an opportunity for us to tell you about this year's Survivor Series because we're recording before it happens. But I can promise you, it wasn't great because even if it was even if the actual wrestling was good, like, so that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about, and then we'll jump back into other favorite memories. But yes, Mangle.
Just to touch upon what you're saying there. So when it started and when that Survivor Series theme kind of started to trickle away, it was a time when guys, again, name people. Okay, you'd be fighting, Dipshit McGee and Undercarriage Williams, some jobber, and that's what you would see. You may see certain ones interacting together on pay-per-views, but a lot of guys you didn't.
Well, you were never seeing the jobbers on pay-per-views. Pay-per-views is when you were seeing the big stars.
Right. So I'm saying is like you didn't see certain guys together until you saw them at like Survivor Series. So like, it was unique in the sense of nowadays it's not. That's not unique. People do like 5-man. They do 6-man tags. They do 8 on Raw. What I'm saying is back then you saw guys that worked together as a team that you didn't know that they knew each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
in some ways, exciting. More the heels than the faces. That it was always very exciting to see the top heels in the ring together when like they would have no reason to ever interact any other time.
Yeah, like the Honky Tonk Man and Akeem.
That's right.
Yeah, you couldn't really picture that as like those guys interacting or knowing each other. No. But I do think I'm looking through here and it looks like we should have known. Looks like 97. If I look at the results for 97, was probably the last.
Wasn't it the year with the gang wars that
was 90? That was 97. That was kind of it for the and I don't want to tell tales out of school here, but pretty much 98 was the tournament, the Deadly Game tournament. And then 99, let's see, how many elimination matches did we have in 99? Because there were none in 98. And 99 they had a few, but it was heavily, they were like, and then you had the big, for instance, Big Show, 1-on-4 Survivor Series elimination match. Big Show defeated Big Boss Man, Midian, Prince Albert, and Viscera in 1 minute and 26 seconds.
Yeah, that's just
man, bring back the Attitude Era. But my point is, like, so now it's about brand supremacy, Right. Except it's a bunch of crap because they have the draft a month before Survivor Series. So this year, Team Raw is made up of every single member of that was just drafted to Raw a month ago.
Nice.
So who cares? Right? Like it doesn't, to me, I would, and I tweeted this out over at So Says Shernoff at one point. I tweeted this out and I asked somebody to please intelligently explain to me why this way of doing things is better than doing Survivor Series and then the draft immediately following Survivor Series. Because you could have this event where it really is these two teams of people who have been bleeding blue and bleeding red for the last year, and now it's head to head. Who has been the best of 2021? Who is the best brand? And then it's like the next night on Raw, we begin the draft. And everybody's celebrating, and the team, we're all feeling this unity, and so-and-so just got drafted to SmackDown. And now he's walking into SmackDown going, oh, crap, we just kicked your ass last night, and now it looks like I'm part of your team, even though I just... that is... I'm sorry, I love Bruce Pritchard. Explain to me. Tell me how what you're doing is better than what I'm suggesting. Spoiler, it's
terrible, Josh. It's terrible. I think aren't they having a my hole on a pole match this year?
No, because Nia Jax was released.
Well, actually, that was one of the better things that they did. But
I should say we never like to see anybody lose a job.
No, of course not.
No.
There's plenty of work out there.
Never like to see anyone lose a job.
There is that. That's a good thing for for a lot of these talents that unfortunately are getting released for what appears to be no really
Well, they're going to
good
sell.
reason is that
They're gonna sell.
there's now, well, that may be, but it is nice to see that there are other opportunities for people to earn a living
Yeah.
these days.
And I should add, fan of Nia Jax? Absolutely not. Didn't get the character, didn't care for it, wasn't a fan.
It's probably not even her fault, but at least now she'll have some creative freedom to figure out what she wants to do.
Well, and that's a really good point. Like, I wasn't a fan of the presentation of Nia Jax. I've never met her. I have no comment on the human being, right? So I don't want to see the human being lose a job. I would have been very happy if they'd shifted her to wrestling only house shows, so I didn't have to watch her. Or just, look, I have a fast forward button, so it's fine. It's fine. Keep her on there. I don't mind. But yeah, I don't understand. Like, it's one of those things where you look at it and you go, like, man, it was so good, such a good concept. Why is it gone? And is that a weird Vince McMahon thing, like where he's just over it?
Well, it might have been. Yeah, I mean, I think to Matt's point, I think the gimmick of it kind of wore out once the wrestlers stopped wrestling jobbers.
I think that's actually I think that's a great point, because it doesn't matter. But again, then why? Then like, it just doesn't matter. They
just kept it because it's a known name, I mean, they could have done other things too. I mean, you could do things like, whoever gets eliminated in one of the matches goes to goes to SmackDown. Whoever ends up winning, or the people that are still whatever. They could do anything with that stuff. They just choose not to because they know everything. They make a shitload of money and they don't care. But
So I'll give you one of my favorite memories. Is not a specific match, although there was a specific match for it, but. One of my favorite memories of a Survivor Series is 1996, because to me, 96 was one of my favorite years in wrestling. And if you go back and watch it, I'm not entirely sure why. I know why 97 was my favorite year in wrestling, because that was damn good.
Survivor Series 96 was Brett versus Stone Cold.
Yep.
And I believe Rocky Maivia.
Oh boy.
That's blue chipper right there.
That's right.
Rocky Maivia's debut, and then of course,
that final appearance of Yokozuna.
Could be, yeah.
Well, if not, I mean, probably final. Possibly, yeah. Possibly.
Certainly, final pay-per-view match. I would think.
Yeah.
Probably. That was also when Jose Lothario got hit in the chest with a camera by Sid, and then Shawn Michaels lost the world title to Sid. Like, it was an exciting time because we hadn't gotten into the, like, I'm going to give my honest opinion. I was never really a big fan of the Attitude Era. I was an enormous fan in the Attitude Era. Like, huge Rock mark. Loved pretty much anything that was going on, like an enormous mark about it. But I didn't love the, like, raunchy attitude stuff. Like, I was still a huge fan of the wrestling, but to me, that's why 97 is one of my favorite years, because things got more real, but they didn't go over the top. Like, I could still enjoy it and feel like I could still talk to my parents about it, Where, like, by late 98, like, I'm not going to tell my mom what's going on wrestling, So, like, I just... No, you know what but seriously though.
No, I know. I think that's funny because 96 and 97 is actually when I stopped watching WWF, because November to Remember 1995 was the first time that I tuned into ECW and saw Rey Mysterio versus Psychosis in a Mexican death match. And ever since then, I was watching ECW, and it's funny for you to say that you wouldn't tell your parents watching WWE, but I was watching ECW, which is way.
And I'm sure your parents would have been thrilled to know that you were watching ECW.
What happens in a Mexican death match? It's
kind of self-explanatory, isn't it, there, friend?
So the fun fact: the ring announcer for that match was Joel Gertner.
Oh, friend of the show. Hashtag pay the boys. That's why he's not joining us. Joel Gertner.
He announced it both in Spanish and English. But Mexican deathmatch, you pretty much have to pin your opponent, and then it's a 10 count. So your opponent has a 10 count to get up.
Last man standing.
Last percent, but after the
well,
pin,
so I'll take my match, which the first time I was 12, 1993. We had some stuff going on, just family wise. Grandfather passed away, whatever. Coming back from upstate Pennsylvania, we were at one of the rest stops. My dad actually bought me a WWF magazine, right? So it's got Lex Luger on the front of it. So that was September, right? So the magazine is the build up going towards it's after he slammed the big man on the aircraft carrier, the Yokozuna, and then
good
it was Lex Express and all that BS, right? But anyway, that's when I got kind of paying more attention to the wrestling in there, and that match and the build up to the match of was supposed to be Lex Luger, the Steiner brothers, and Tatanka. Friend of the show, Chris Chavis. I've never met a man to put away so many pancakes in such a little bit of time in Waukesha, Wisconsin. That's a story. Deep cut there. 2007 AWA Tag Team Tournament there, Mr. Josh.
A buffet exists for a reason.
Man took those flapjacks to school. Like Louis Anderson.
Stevie Ray was there.
He wasn't messing around. I think he actually used a spork. But anyway, getting
You're
back
thinking
to
the Hazleton main event. Anyway.
The Spider? Spider Deathmatch? No, so anyway, the build up on Superstars, and this is a story going back. I watched some of it again recently. They really took their time back then telling stories. Okay. Yeah. One big problem today. They hotshot everything, and it's still horseshit. But anyway, back then.
How many pay-per-views nowadays?
So Tatanka got taken out, and I believe lost his first match to Ludwig Borga, right? He got hit in the back with a blue steel chair with not quite WCW force, maybe a little harder than that. And he put him in the ring, pinned him with one finger. Okay. Then has Yokozuna come in the ring and not only do the bonsai drop, but holds the man like this, facing legs towards the ring post, jumps off, and Yokozuna sits on the man's ribs, which I probably, even if it wasn't snug, probably still snapped the guy's ribs. And then they realized they actually took him out for real, but he was out of the match. So then they got a replacement. Okay. Mr. Undertaker, right? So that was shown on, all that stuff was leading up on Superstars like the weeks ahead of time, right? So the one right before is when they decided on the Undertaker. Mm-hmm. But in the ring, you have the Steiner brothers, right, with all their Michigan stuff, and Heenan on commentary was.
I definitely
great.
thought you were going to say Michigas.
Michigas.
I believe the Steiner brothers were wearing the red, white, and blue on that.
Well, in the match,
everybody was, including
they had their varsity jackets. So they were doing the Michigan thing, and Bobby Heenan was great on there. He was talking about how they're actually from Wisconsin. The commentary.
That's how they knew Tatanka.
Yeah, we'll see. So anyway, seriously, right? Waukesha, it all comes full circle. So anyway, so you had Undertaker, Steiner brothers, and you had Lex Luger, who got one of the biggest pushes in the industry, and actually in the match, hold on. Sidebar here. So Lex Luger, leading up to it, takes out current PCO, takes him out with the forearm, right? Miracle. So he's out. So they need a replacement because one half of the Quebecers is gone. And by the way, manager of the Quebecers, Johnny Polo. So a year or two before he goes to ECW. So some of the promos are great because you got Cornette, who's in there with Yokozuna. You got Johnny Polo jumping around in the background. You're like, isn't that Raven? And their replacement is Crush, who, hey, yo, boy, your brother. That was about the extent of his vernacular.
I don't know if I've ever heard a Crush impersonation before.
Heard it here first.
Well, the other one is the Chronic match with them and Kane and Undertaker, which you can't even find anywhere because I think YouTube erased it. It's the worst ever.
Okay, anyway. I like that you spent time looking for it, though.
Mangle did a deep dive into YouTube.
I'm trying to find this stuff.
I gotta find it somewhere. I'm gonna find it somewhere.
Anyway, so you got Brada. I got face paint. I'm gonna be a jailbird in a couple years. Brada.
I think the Brada and Jailbird, you're thinking Superfly Jimmy Snuka.
No, that's unconvicted. Should have been convicted.
Yeah,
murder.
No, you can joke about it because he actually killed somebody.
Well, that's a Samoan death match. But anyway, so I don't even know what's happening. So wherever we left off here, but
digress.
Hold on. So Lex Luger takes out the one half of the Quebecers. Crush comes in, and in the match, Lex Luger actually goes to the second rope, which I almost fainted. Right, Lex Luger goes on the second rope, does this whole thing for about 17 minutes, jumps off, hits a forearm across the throat of Mr. Mountie Man, takes him out.
Bionic forearm. Let's not forget.
No, but off the top.
Lest we forget.
He didn't hit him in the head. He hit him across the collarbone like Bret Hart used to do.
Yep.
Stone Cold. And he pinned him. Clean.
That's it. Back in the day, collarbones used to actually
snap easier?
Yeah, they would snap easier. Now, it's 5 Canadian destroyers to...
A Canadian collarbone, Josh, is about as thin as a 3x5 card. So you have... so he got taken out. So Luger took out both Quebecers, basically. In the match.
I'm sorry. I just want to... Just for a second here. So the size of the 3x5 card has no bearing on the thickness of the paper.
Exactly. Just saying.
All right.
It's more to think about. This is an audio podcast. It's the theater. The theater.
It's also a video podcast. We've got. Do you not see the border and the?
I see the border, but I'm saying you know.
What did you turn those lights on behind you for?
Huh?
Hope he's wearing pants
for the audio. What's that?
That's boogeyman's gonna come out of the door behind me.
We're supposed to wear pants.
I think that was a Ghostbusters reference.
Big. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. So anyway, Ludwig Borga, who if you go back and watch this match a little bit, all you can find is like the snippets of it.
Yeah, if you watch closely, you can see Ludwig Borga yelling at a bunch of Jews in the crowd.
Well, it's part of the finished character. But hold on. So here's the thing. In the match, Ludwig Borga hits the ropes. I've never seen a man hit the ropes like Sassy Mike Malassi takes a suplex.
Did he tear his asshole?
No. Well, I think he did that to himself pre-gig. He hits the ropes like this.
What am I?
He hits the ropes like this.
Can we point out your Planes, Trains, and Automobiles t-shirt?
I wore this because of the Thanksgiving Day tradition.
That's phenomenal.
That is great.
Your kid spills his milk, you smack him upside his head, Neil. What's that supposed to mean? This means it just means you're intolerant, hostile and intolerant. That's a horrible combination. You know it, down. Go to
hell. Movie quotes from Matt Mangle.
You're gonna be picking up your schnutz to tie your shoes tomorrow, huh? We're gonna sell money
his little mittens.
If I wanted a joke, I'd follow you into the John and watch you take a beat. Let me just close this conversation by saying you're one unique individual, Del. What's unique? Latin for asshole? Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Does anybody remember Mangle's original topic?
No.
It's a Thanksgiving Day movie.
I think anyway, we are 8 episodes into Talking with Friends, and I feel like we have finally hit at 45 minutes into this episode what we imagine Talking with Friends would always be.
So where Mangle just goes off on every possible tangent.
You don't understand. So Ludwig Borga hits the ropes like he came from Lowe's. Aisle 14, Bay 6. Ludwig Borga hits the ropes like a 2x4. It's the most weirdest thing. You gotta watch this. It's the weirdest thing ever. And he falls down trying to get up. Scott Steiner picks up the one Quebecer guy, tosses him, he falls. People are dropping. Yokozuna hits a bonsai drop on The Undertaker, then goes for a second one. Now, this is talk about timing's everything here. He sits up before the second one, and Yokozuna's his ass is like right there. So if Undertaker didn't sit up a split second, if it was too late, his ass is coming down right here.
He would have gone right up Yokozuna asshole.
You don't want to go up there.
Nope.
I don't care what bone screw. You're going to find bone screw. You're going to find something else. You're going to be in the La Brea tar pits down there.
I do want to point out, as much as I'm nervous about not letting Matt talk, I'm
almost there. I'm almost there.
I do want to point out, though, that move, I remember very clearly Fred and my dad driving us back. We just turned off of West Bruce Drive. And what is that street? West Bruce goes up to...
I don't think anybody cares.
Anyway. But I know exactly where we were, right? And, I'm sorry, I don't want to go into detail or anything.
No, Josh, it's at the corner of, Go F Yourself and...
So anyway, we banged the left. We were banging the left at the Gimmick Street. We go on, but I remember us talking about, like, at this point, Fred and I kind of knew. We're like, all right, we get that wrestling is there's something off here, right? Like, we get that this isn't, some things are planned. But we're still like... So we're looking at it going, there had to be a way for The Undertaker to take that bonsai drop, but still be able to sit up. And that's when we're telling our dad, we're like, he's taking lots of painkillers. Like, we think we figured it out. He's taking lots of painkillers. Spoiler.
Like Michael Myers.
Spoiler, we were right. But everyone was. But that was like in our minds, like that's where, like, old school smart Mark, like where you're kind of like, you're smart to some things, some of it's a work, but at the same time, you're kind of like, maybe it's, we're still trying to figure out. And we're like, okay, well, he obviously, he freaking bonsai dropped him. Clearly that's real. So how did he sit up? We know he's not really dead. I think he takes tons of painkillers. And that's why when people hurt him, like when people attack him, like he doesn't get hurt. I remember that so clearly. Our dad was probably like, yeah, no, I'm sure he's taking a lot of stuff. But anyway,
he sat up, and then they ended up going to the outside and getting double counted out.
Setting up the Royal Rumble.
You end up with Luger and Borga, right? Now, it's interesting that Ludwig Borga's finisher was a torture rack, and eventually that was Lex's move in WCW.
Interesting.
Right? So
wow. Just like Lex got it from Ludwig Borga got it from Hitler. All.
Well, and Ludwig Borga.
I think Lex have it first in WCW before he.
I don't know if he used it or not. Did he use that?
Can we phone a friend of Zach Milner?
Yeah, he would know.
Well, we'll have our research team, our Crackerjack research team get on that. But the
Just copy and paste.
Well,
that's it.
And Ludwig Borga is Finnish, so he literally had a finisher. No, is that too soon? But he hits the ropes like a stretcher. He hits the ropes like a stretcher. I've never in my days seen that. He might as well just put his hands in his pockets like Warren Cassidy, but he would have gone flying out.
Why did he? They talked about it. Bruce Pritchard talked about it once, and I cannot remember. It might have been talking about this particular event. Like, why they ended up firing Ludwig Borga, and it had something to do with him turning out to be like shoot racist. But
he was a Nazi.
But but there was something specifically.
He's
like
from
he had
Finland, Josh.
I want to say like he had a tattoo, or there was something.
Yeah,
that was
on
not
his
okay
on his leg or something that had something to do with
or like a swastika or something.
Yeah,
something
like
not great.
Well, he got future endeavored. So, but anyway, that match stands out in my mind just because all the different people and where they ended up going. You had Johnny Polo, Raven. You had the Steiner brothers and how they changed completely. You had Yokozuna, who he was in his kind of prime at that point, or getting to it. You had Undertaker, who was stepping up his game. Well, with the exception of Borga, that's like, just go to Lowe's, aisle 4, bay 6, Ludwig Borga.
Oh, man.
Ludwig Borga. Anyway, back to you guys.
No.
I'm surprised that Josh didn't bring up the fact that Bret the Hitman Hart, for the first time that I've seen,
I know what you're talking about.
Short tights.
Yeah. He had the butchers on.
Right. Well, we haven't gotten to that yet. We haven't gotten to that yet. He wore the singlet. And that wasn't one of my favorite memories, but we've kind of gone off of the whole idea of favorite memories here.
Working our way through
but I did think that was really cool. And I also thought it was kind of neat that ended up like that Owen Hart never let go of that. Because if you remember, prior to that match, Owen Hart had his Rocket gear. It was like the blue singlet, but it was the long pants like Brett. And then he went to that, and after that match, Owen continued to wear that singlet with Brett's, little skull and wings and heart logo. Nothing was cooler than whichever Hart brother it was who had like the multicolored lightning on the side or whatever the hell with like the super long.
Josh, did you want to address something about the many doinks? I think you started talking about.
Yeah, so we knew there was going to be this like doinks versus whoever, and we were really.
Did we know it was gonna be a lot of doinks? Or was that?
Yeah, I think it was like Doink was. Well,
out?
I know like Doink was gonna have. It was like going to be like Doink's Mystery People or something. I think it was.
Okay.
And they were gonna face Bam Bam Bigelow, Bastion Booger, and the Head Shrinkers.
You gotta pick the Booger.
You have to. So you're like, all right, it's gonna be Doink and these mystery people or whatever. What's gonna be the story? Well, unfortunately, at that point, Fred and I had to leave our friend Jeremy and Matt Lax's house. And shout out to them. Yeah. But we had to leave for a brief moment to go back to our house to meet our Russian cousins. Fred, would you care to elaborate?
The Kolovs.
Our grandfather found his long-lost Russian cousin in 1992, and they coordinated and there's some back and forth communication and set up a trip, and the Russian cousin and his wife came to America, and of all times it happened to be they came to visit our house during the Survivor Series, and we were told by our parents in no uncertain terms that we had to come home at least for a half an hour and say hello to the Russian cousins. So
life-changing. Listen, the thing is...
Yes.
I mean, looking at it now, I completely understand. I would make my kids come home for that as well. I mean, this is fat, like,
I was going to say, it depends on your opinion of multiple mid-card wrestlers dressed as doinks, whether or not this was a great time to miss part of the event or a terrible time.
So here's the thing. When we returned back to the Lax's house, we're like, what did we miss? And it's one of my earliest memories of, I remember Jeremy specifically just being, I don't remember the exact words, but pretty much in essence saying whatever like a elementary school kid's version of that was the drizzling shits would be. And it was like, it was the dumbest thing. This was so stupid. It was the Bushwhackers and Men on a Mission wearing Doink face paint. And I remember being really like,
one of your Doink didn't
memories? No, one of my earliest memories of being disappointed in.
Oh, I was going to say you were 10 years old. Yeah. I was wondering about the head trauma you might have.
I got the old CTE going on from the old OVW days, but no, I remember that, but that kind of makes me jump back to my earliest memory of being disappointed by professional wrestling.
9.5.
No, I was younger than that because it was Survivor Series 1990, and it was the Gobbledygooker.
Oh, yes.
First of all, how do you say it?
Gobbledygook.
It's Gobbledygooker.
I've never stopped to think about it before.
For years, I called it the Gobbledygooker.
Gobbledygook. Yeah.
But it's like gobbledygook.
Hard to say right.
Yeah. That was, I remember back then you're talking 1990. I was, how old was I in 1990? I was 7 at that time, right? I just turned 7. Mm-hmm. So the idea that a 7-year-old could be let down by pro wrestling, like I had never experienced being let down by entertainment before. You really think about that. You're watching your Saturday morning cartoons. You ever watch a Saturday morning cartoon and at the end of it go, that episode just didn't really do it for me today? Like, no, like it was just,
Right.
When you went and saw a movie, like, we're going to go see, Back to the Future too. Like, okay, it's awesome. Whether it's awesome or not awesome, it was awesome. Like, everything's awesome. You're 7 years old. Anything wrestling is amazing.
Well, there was
that
so much hype that for weeks. And I don't know if anyone has heard any podcasts or anyone discussing this, but was it a scenario where they thought Gobbledygooker was going to become an ongoing wrestler, and then when they realized it was the Drizzling Shits, they scrapped it, or was it never supposed to go beyond?
Because it was Hector Guerrero, right?
Right. So I mean, did they expect that he was coming in and this is his gimmick and he's gonna?
How could he work a match in that thing? I think, in my opinion, and I don't know this as fact, so I might as well just state it as fact, like Meltzer. But you know what? That's not fair. It's Thanksgiving time. Why don't I pass that heat off onto what's his boy's name?
Alvarez.
Yeah, Brian Alvarez. Anyway, so
they both sit down to pee, Josh.
Well, hey, you know what? Better than making a mess
on the papers.
Well, yeah. I was gonna say Meltzer probably just goes on the paper.
He's got a bidet built into his office chair, huh?
Anyway,
when you have the bio bidet, whatever 2000 or whatever it is, sometimes you sit down just for the fun of it.
You ever go AC Slater on it, Fred? Put it on the 5 power wash. Oh.
I've had this thing since I think you talked about it with Meanie, right, Josh? So it was like early on.
Who?
In Mind of the Meanie. So I've had this thing for over a year, and I've never gone above level 3. I always keep it at like the middle default level. Sure. I don't have the fortitude to
the scar tissue build up yet.
Try level 4 or 5.
I thought you were gonna say I thought you were gonna say you don't have the balls. And I was gonna say you're not if you did, you're not going to if you put it on level 5.
And I've certainly never tried the vortex mode.
Oh boy,
the vortex mode.
It's fueled by Coheed and Cambria.
The vortex mode. I got so much to talk about.
That'll be the next episode when we talk about the.
We're talking about that's going to be the December episode of Talking with Friends. We're going to cover the vortex mode. But
so am I the only one? I mean, for you, was that right? My disappointment was watching the Shockmasters debut.
I didn't watch the Shockmasters debut.
Did any of you guys actually watch it?
No.
I took it the following week on the WCW Power Hour.
I saw it when they aired it, and man, that did it for me.
Well, it's another. I mean, it's maybe not as extreme. Let's say he hadn't tripped. It may not be as extreme a situation as the Gobbledygooker, but it's another scenario where you look at it and you go, where was this going to go? Like,
what was the best case scenario?
Right.
Because the best case scenario was garbage. I think the Gobbledygooker, I think the game plan there was we're going to create a Survivor Series gimmick schnabbits. What are they called?
Moment.
Mascot.
Oh, okay.
A Survivor Series mascot. I think that's what the plan was.
Check out Mean Gene.
Yeah. Put that cigarette out. Anyway, but, look, at this point in time, I think it's important because we were talking about the bidet and we're talking about all that stuff and your gobbledygookers and all that stuff. To thank our sponsor of today's episode. So if I may just do a little bit of an ad read right here. Ho, 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 gentlemen. The holidays came early at Manscaped, the leading men's hygiene brand. Manscaped just launched new products, including their all-new ultra-premium body wash and a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. It's time to give yourself or someone who needs it the gift of beautiful skin, hair, and balls this holiday season. So go to manscaped.com and use the code TWF for 20% off plus free shipping. Jingle balls to the walls, fellas. Listen up. Untrimmed pubes are a thing of the past, and it's possible you have Santa's beard in your pants, Calvin. time to leave your significant other some cookies and milk at the bottom of your chimney, Fred. I'm talking about the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. Inside the Performance Package 4.0, you'll find Signature Lawnmower 4.0. This electric trimmer has proprietary advanced skin-safe technology to reduce cuts on your nuts, Mangle. It's also waterproof, so you can use it in the shower. It's like a gift to your partner with less mess. The Manscaped Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Crop Preserver and Crop Reviver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant, moisturizer, and toner. It's time to keep your North Pole feeling and smelling fresh, guys. Punch fresh. The Hygiene Bundle will also come with a pair of Manscaped anti-chafing boxers that'll keep your junk feeling punch fresh all day. The perfect package for your perfect package, be it a regular size package or a small package. I don't know who you're pointing at there, Mangle.
Everybody.
Manscaped's going beyond the groin. Remember that classic TWF show from '99?
It was probably more successful.
With their new ultra premium body wash. It's infused with aloe vera and sea salt to keep your skin feeling clean, nice, and moisturized. They also just launched their new 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, which has key ingredients with benefits that include hydrating, nourishing, conditioning the scalp, and strengthening your hair at the same time. 'Tis the season to load up on Manscaped products, so get yourself, your dad, your brother, your friends, the best gift of all, the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0, and blow your partner to oblivion. TWF, oblivion. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code TWF at manscaped.com. Every guy out there needs to add Manscaped to their wish list this season. So again, get 20% off plus free shipping with code TWF at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. Use code TWF. Clean up your nuts and make Santa proud this year.
Ho, ho, ho.
And we thank Manscaped for sponsoring Talking with Friendsgiving.
I mentioned Manscaped last
Calvin
night.
Tan, the hell just came out of you?
Oh, God. Anybody watch Big Mouth?
Oh boy, what a segue.
Oh yeah, that's what we called Mangle's promo from 2002.
Last night I watched an episode, and it has to do with and it's a cartoon, and it has to do with the.
No, I don't know because we've never seen it. I didn't know it was a cartoon.
It's a really raunchy cartoon about middle schoolers going through puberty. It's funny, and it was like the latest episode, and it's
what the f- are you watching?
Oh my God, it's great. And these kids, they had to go to the swimming pool. So the shame wizard who comes around, and he makes them feel bad about themselves, and he's like pointing out all these things. And the one guy, his pubes were just so overgrown, so he went home to try to take care of that, and he nicked himself because he was not using Manscaped.
Because he didn't go to manscaped.com and use promo code TWF to save 20% plus free shipping.
Once I was done almost vomiting, I pointed that out to my wife that he should have gone to manscaped.com.
There you go.
You dropped trowel. You said, "Look at these gobbledygooks."
Are you guys aware that there's this Danish cartoon with a superhero that has a long penis that he uses to save people?
Yes, actually, I am aware of that.
There you go.
Wow.
I celebrate the entire catalog. As we begin to wind down here and talking with Friendsgiving, I hope you didn't learn anything today, those of you watching and listening, because
Never our intention.
We didn't give you any. What we really wanted this to be was you just hanging out with us, and it took us about 45 minutes and 8 episodes to get there. But I feel like now we're really getting to the core of what Talking with Friends is supposed to be here. But final thoughts. Let's go around the horn here, as they say. We'll start with you, Matt Mangle. So, favorite memory from Thanksgiving and wrestling, and least favorite memory, go.
Best memory is, I guess, Undertaker as a face, working with the All-Americans. Worst memory, would be Ludwig Borga, stretcher running the ropes. Wow. I mean, I've seen runs of people's shorts better than that, man. That's something else.
Who had the runs in their shorts?
Mike Green.
Poor Sassy McMassey. No, first of all, it's not the runs. It's not the runs if you're bleeding. I hope Mike's not watching.
Anyway.
Calvin Tan. Your best memory, your worst memory.
You know, I'm gonna go with Extreme Lucha Libre because ECW was a big part of my life. So, watching Rey Mysterio and Psychosis for the first time, Lucha Libre wrestling, thanks to ECW, brought that to the Philadelphia market, and I really enjoyed it, and I was hooked, from the first day I watched that. So I'm gonna go with that.
It's a great one. And your least favorite memory as it relates to wrestling and Thanksgiving time?
I don't know if I actually have a least favorite memory in terms of wrestling and wrestling time. I guess it would be the fact that probably around the time I got into ECW, WCW and WWE decided to put most of their good matches on cable, and I didn't have cable, so I was forced to watch ECW and catch highlights on Saturday morning Superstars.
Fred, your best and worst?
Best, it's actually one we did not bring up. The year where the Survivors went on to the final encounter and Hogan teamed with Warrior and I believe Tito Santana, but who didn't last very long. That one. So that was, I guess, was that leading up to WrestleMania 6? I guess.
I think somebody take your pills. Somebody's alarm's going off.
Not mine. Maybe it's your tinnitus.
It's not me. It's definitely in my. Somebody, listen. Everybody, quiet. Real quick, quiet. Hold on. We're gonna figure out who it is. It's not Calvin. He's muted himself. Hold on.
I don't have.
It's not Mangol. I muted him. Hold on. It's Fred.
There's nothing here beeping.
There's a beep.
Hold on. His ass is whistling from the bidet.
There is no beep. You want me? I'll mute.
Coming from the cornucopia.
Mute. There's no beep. Unmute.
Okay.
All right, it seems to have gone away. All right.
There was no beep.
I'm not cutting that out.
Anyway,
before I was so rudely interrupted,
it's
favorite memory.
Your stopwatch that went off.
There is no stopwatch. There's nothing here.
But there probably should have been because we're an hour and 9 minutes into this show, and I think it should be edited down to about 4 minutes. Of
my favorite memory.
My
favorite memory was the one time that they had the winners go on to a final round. They never did that before or since. I thought it should have always been that way. I see now some of the strategic reasons why it wasn't done again. But as a fan, I really love that. I love seeing Hogan and Warrior team together. That was my favorite moment. And my least favorite, there were many. Gobbledygooker was up there. But I think probably the sort of anniversary celebration / retirement celebration of The Undertaker. Bring this all full circle because I just thought it wasn't. There was no real, and part of that is the fault of the pandemic. But I think like Undertaker did not go out the way the Undertaker should go out.
It's not my least favorite, but I agree with you that I thought it kind of sucked because I thought this was the final opportunity. They had didn't they have Paul Bear's voice and they had different things like that? I might be making that up, but they had something this was the final opportunity for the original Dead Man to return.
Yes.
Just, he wasn't working a match, so it wasn't that whole but he can't do that because he doesn't want to work that style anymore. I'm talking literally your final appearance, come out with the tie and the hat and the old school gloves and walk out 30 years after, your debut.
Yep.
But yeah, so I agree. I thought that was not well done. Neither Timothy nor Steven. Well done. Did they ever have a match at Survivor Series?
Probably
did.
Yeah.
Man, so my least favorite would be the gobbledygooker, because it was because I really just hated it. It was the first memory I have of being like, this was really disappointing. And I think my favorite, has got to be just in general Survivor Series 89, because if you really look at 89 there, those are the guys, like when you look at the first run of like Hasbro WWF figures, they're all based off of the roster of 89. And
you know, you talked about that feeling of watching the VHS. We've talked about a lot of things that WWF did wrong, but I don't really understand how. But man, they did something right, at least for kids. But if there was nothing that Coliseum Home Video put out. If they put out a tape of the Brooklyn Brawler shopping at Toys R Us, we would have rented it.
Well, like actually, I think we found out years later there was plenty of tapes that Coliseum Video put out, but we would have had to have gone into that back room at movies. Do you guys remember the name? Where did you get your VHSs?
I went to Ambler Video, which is now part of Giuseppe's Pizza. They expanded about 15 years ago off of Butler. Down there, Bethlehem Pike before you get to Butler.
We're not allowed to talk about specific street names here, Mangle. I think we set that precedent earlier.
Yeah, no, people.
No, Mangle is talking about the location of a historical.
I'm talking about a location of a historical thing. It's when we came up with the idea that it's when we first discovered that professional wrestlers were taking painkillers. You don't think that's an important moment in history?
You were talking about where you took a turn to get somewhere.
Yeah.
It was not
the main place in Ambler that did videos, and then the other place was up a little further. This place called Movie World. You know.
So we had. I remember we had movies like a cow.
That was later.
That was later. But what did we have before that? We had.
Well, for me, it was Maple Glen Video, where I think the Brouhaha is now.
Brouhaha is not there.
That's long gone.
Not there anymore.
That was a video store. I did not know that.
Wow.
No, we went in Dresher, in the Dresher Town Plaza. There were many video stores for a number of years.
I'm trying to come up with all the other names other than movies.
I can picture the original one.
I
mean, I can't say for sure it was the original. The original one
Hollywood
that we
Video.
went to, but
well, Hollywood
that was
Video was
later.
There was Hollywood Video. There was also, but there was the one. It's what ended up eventually becoming Salad Works.
Yeah,
that's where it always was,
sort of,
and then it moved.
It's dark. It was like a brown sort of color scheme. I can picture it, and I can picture the rack of wrestling videos. But I mean, that was a million years ago. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm sure the audience is really disappointed to not have a full-fledged running history of the video stores in Dresher.
Probably for the record,
they've all gigged their nuts already, Jeff.
For the record, West Bruce Drive turned into Dundee Drive. And it was as we were making that turn on Dundee, about to make a right onto Alpen Drive.
Josh.
That is when it happened.
We're not concerned about street names, Josh.
Yeah, we are concerned about that.
No, we're not.
Where I come from, which was right down the street from Alpen Drive.
Listen, prove me wrong that nobody cares about that. Somebody tag it on social media, a photo of themselves standing at the exact intersection where Josh alleges we made that turn, and he pontificated that the Undertaker was on pain pills.
You hear that, Bill Apter? Get out of your house, grab your dog, walk down the street, and take this selfie. Oh man, but no, my favorite memory would be that 1989. I think because we just watched it so many times. Because back then, that really was before we started figuring anything out about wrestling, and it was just a great time. And
ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is bliss. And there's been a lot of ignorance on this show here today. But we want to thank you all for joining us for this Talking with Friendsgiving, the first annual Talking with Friendsgiving. I mean, it could also be the only. But we appreciate you being here. We really do. This was a lot of fun for us to talk about something not TWF related, but we will be back next month in December over at youtube.com/So Says Shernoff, and of course on the So Says Shernoff podcast feed, so that you can listen to or watch Talking with Friends, where we will tell you the culmination of the, I guess we can't count this, so 8-episode mini series
saga
TWF of the TWF the saga, and I think we're just going to name that episode Oblivion, but we will talk about when TWF returned in 2007.
Yes.
And man, if you want to hear some good stuff, there's plenty of stories about various scum of the earth human beings.
Wait, if you think Mangol was shooting during this thing?
Oh my God.
All right.
We got lots to talk about.
Hey, pants are off on that one. We're shooting all this.
Oh my God, horrifying. I also do want to give a quick plug ski over to, if you could go throw it in your old Google Drive and check. I didn't want to say Google Machine because that's someone else's gimmick, but Google Drive that would be like if you were sharing it. But you know what? Hey, share it. Share this and share everything else. But make sure you go to Personal Training Unlocked. Find that on YouTube, Personal Training Unlocked. I actually had the opportunity to be trained yesterday as we record this by one Matt Mangol. Little tune-up, just trying to get myself back into, I wouldn't say fighting shape. I'd say more walking up the stairs without losing my breath shape. Man, I am tighter than a tourniquet over here. Matt Mangol, really, he did a number on me. And no, I feel great. So if you're looking for some
advice, number was it?
It was a number 2.5, as a matter of fact.
3.
Was it a 3? I thought
right between the scapula.
Because you cut yourself off at one point when professional wrestler and friend of the show Dave Sagan walked in. So
House Sagan made an appearance.
Oh man, I was wearing my House Sagan shirt the other day. Actually,
I was wearing mine a second ago over here.
Were you? And then you switched it out.
Before I put on Neil Page and Del Griffith.
Well, I've got under here. I've got my TWF Talking with Friends shirt on under here. So, and of course my Talking with Friends tie, which you know we'll have to use the same image for next year. Otherwise, this was it. But no, Personal Training Unlocked. Go to personaltrainingunlocked.com, and that's going to take you wherever you need to be. Got some exciting things
at PT Unlocked on Twitter.
Yep.
Send questions. I'm here to be the personal training resource that you want and need, but you need to reach out, and I'll come back and touch you. Wait.
So
you told me to read that, Josh. I'm not sure why you told me to do that.
And if you want to hear more about Mangol's thoughts of John Candy films, you can go directly to PT Unlocked on social media. Of course, Calvin Tan can be found at Calvin Tan Magic or Underground Magi, depending on what social media platform you're on. Calvin Tan, anything you need to plug?
I don't know. Just follow me on Twitter, Underground Magi. I tweet once every couple months.
But if you tweet at him, he'll respond to you once every couple months.
Yes.
And then Fred over at Frederick Shernoff. Is it at Frederick?
I believe it is. It never should have been, but
very formal over there. With your apples and your gourds.
You know.
But yeah, at Frederick Shernoff. Anything that you want to plug, Fred?
Me? Not that I need to, because I'm sure a lot of our beloved audience are already subscribers to ad-free shows, but we're rolling with season 2 of Short Stories with Swoggle, and just completed the trilogy of hashtag Whodunit, which seems to be pretty well received. So those cartoons are out there, and there's some more good stuff to come.
Yeah, and speaking of coming or not coming, Dave Silva, sorry you weren't able to make it. Once upon a time, there was a mention of a surprise guest, and it was supposed to be Dave Silva, and I'm outing you right now. for not being able to make it because he literally had anything else to do. But no, they have been Dave Silva, Conrad Thompson, that whole crew over there have been huge supporters of everything that we're doing, and so go share your love. If you're the one person who is watching this but not watching things over at adfreeshows.com, I guess mom. Well, you know what? Follow me at So Says Shernoff, and follow this show at The TWF Show. That's right, at The TWF Show. And you can find out more about this. And tweet us. Tell us what you want to hear. Because after next month, when we kick off the new year in January, this show is not going to be about the old school TWF anymore. This show is going to be about whatever. It's going to be about Matt Mangol quoting movies. That's pretty much what this is going to be. So, I'm here for it.
It's going to be raw.
Yeah, raw like Fred's undercarriage when he switches it up to number 5. And on that note, yes. Oh man, well, you know what? It's never been the same since he lost the Taz machine.
Listen, if BioBidet wants to sponsor this show, I will try the Vortex.
All right, I'm gonna contact him.
The People's Eyebrow by John Candy.
Oh man, well for John Candy, Steve Martin, Matt Mangol, Calvin Tan, Fred Shernoff, I'm Josh Shernoff. Thank you all for joining us. Have a very happy, safe, and healthy Thanksgiving. Thank you for being here, talking with Friendsgiving 2021.